So what we're doing today, we're going to be using the color wheel that we've had in the previous video. And you know the color wheel, you've got the red, your blue and your yellow and all the blends in between, and then the light colors. But we're going to concentrate on an abstract painting. So what I'm going to do, we're using charcoal for the beginning, and we're going to put this color wheel away. We'll come back to it later on. And what I want to show you is just the application of using a stick of charcoal. Really wonderful way of getting an abstract painting, because the charcoal is going to smudge. You can smudge the charcoal. I'm going to continue with my line drawing, and I'm not going to worry at all about where my lines are. What I'm making is facets and blocks and pieces which we're going to come back to with the color later on. So just a quick idea, and I'm not concentrating on any shape. I'm not trying to make an apple. I'm not making a tree. I'm just continuing with my charcoal shapes, filling in some areas, scrubbing along, and essentially showing you how free you can be. This is really a free painting. Why are we doing it? Because sometimes when we've been painting, we just need to have a little break where our mind can run free, and it might not turn out to be a huge for sale painting. It's just me doing an exercise for myself to get out of that technical side and go into the free expression side of placing paint. That's all we're doing, is placing paint. So now I'm getting some ends, closing up these little holes, these little facets and squares. Yeah, getting to the edge of my canvas. Another thing that I would like to say at this point, on an experimental painting like this, what you would like to probably do is you don't need to have a very expensive canvas. You can use a piece of board, and the board can be primed. This canvas is primed, and what I've done is I've given it a bit of a grey background with acrylic. So I've got this grey background. So I'm going to stop and look at it. It's nice and complicated inside here, so we'll see how that works. I'm going to put some curved lines in there. So you see, I'm just letting myself go. Don't worry too much. What I want to show you here is the versatility of charcoal. And if you get when you get to the end of this video, you'll see what happens when the paint touches this charcoal and pulls it in. It's going to create a kind of 3D effect on each one of these, like a blob of some kind. So we're going to get a darker edge on the side. We're going to then create the color of the paint in the middle. Okay, so that gives us a starting point. What I don't want to do is have to probably come back to the charcoal at this point that the charcoal is actually finished. I'm ready to go with the color, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wash my hands, because I don't want my color wheel to get too dirty, although it is a working document. So I must finish this phase of the spreading out of the charcoal and getting this grey background. Another thing that is interesting, I think, is we're starting with a kind of darkish middle tone, and when we put white and light colors on top of this, it's really going to pop. It's going to stand out, and I've got hope for this painting. I think it's going to be amazing. Try one at home, watch to the end, and you'll see what the color is going to do. Okay, thanks for watching. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start with a whole heap of white. We need lots of white. And I'm using a laminated piece of paper as my palette. and I'm getting a little bit of white out. Put that aside, and then let's go back to the color wheel. I always refer to my color wheel. So we've got a color. Let's just kind of randomly choose a color. Let's start with, and I'm not looking at the color wheel, I'm just spinning the wheel, and I'm going to start with the color about here. So this is a purple and a yellow mixture, giving me a neutral color and quite a fair bit of white. So let's take that up. Take the purple, and we go with putting the purple on. Try not to, well, you can put a bit more, yeah. And then I'm going to get my yellow, and I'm going to put it aside from the purple, and using a fairly large brush. This is a filbert, actually looks like a square filbert, and it's a bristle, very nice brush. I'm going to start mixing my white, and randomly, again, just a random placement. Look at how that white stands out. Look at how that white stands out on the grey undercoat. And the whole point of the exercise is to have fun with it. We are blending colors, yes. We are also using one brush at this point in time. And there's my first color. What I'm going to do as I go along, I'm kind of closing my charcoal line down. So I'm not going right to the edge all too carefully. I'm closing it down. So I'll show you what I mean. That's the edge of my charcoal line, and I'm actually making the charcoal line thinner or lighter or smaller as we going along. And this is really fun, you know. It's really nice to just let yourself go. Don't try too hard to. Well, we kind of set ourselves a color tone here, really. We're going to move along here, and let's put some white in. It's looking good so far, looking good. I don't know what I'm going to do on this edge. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I'm going to put some purple in here, and then we're going to put more white in. And I'm painting fairly quickly. You can see that the canvas hasn't got this bounce, stretch bounce, like a drum tone to it, because it's not a very expensive canvas, and almost actually homemade. I made it at home. Just stretched some pure cotton. You can even use material like denim. Denim works quite well as long as it's cotton. You don't want to have any synthetic material in your canvas. The synthetic material doesn't hold paint very nicely. It doesn't carry water very nicely. I'm still on my yellow and my white. A lot of white is used. Try and cover the area. Try and cover the area with a nice layer of paint. I don't want the grey to come through. That's not what I want. I want the colour to show on top of the material. There we go. We're getting closing up these little gaps. Remember, the charcoal was just a random drawing, really random. I just went with where you could almost do it by closing your eyes and have a bit of a prompt as to where to go. You know, I'm picking up a lot of paint. I'm not even washing my brush. I've used the one brush all the way through. Another thing I can show you is I'm turning my brush all the time, turning it, get an area in, and then I'm going to turn my brush, and I'm going to get another color. So I'll pick up the paint on the one side of the brush. I might turn my brush and pick up some yellow. So I've got to kind of remember where I'm going. There's my white, like that. And then I'll turn my brush and it brings in a bit of yellow. And we're getting to the point where we have almost used up all our white, and I did put a lot of white on. Now look at how nice that is. It's working out, so I think it's working out very well. What you don't want to do, you don't want to clog up the canvas. So you'll notice I'm not painting like that. I'm not painting left to right and left to right. What I'm doing is I'm picking up my paint and I'm literally painting in largely one direction. Largely one direction. I might flip around every now and then, but I'm trying to keep the texture of the canvas working for me. Eh? Don't want to lose that. Or else you use board, smooth board, and that should be fine as well. So it's really cool. And at this stage, I think we're going to stop and have a look at what we've done. I'm not looking there, I'm looking at the thing I'm doing, keeping it within one range of color as we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to let's have a little pause here, and I'm going to recharge my my palette, and we might even start moving off the color into the next color of the color wheel. So let's just recap quickly. But this is where we started, randomly putting our charcoal on, and then randomly choosing a color area. So we chose that color area there, and yeah, it's coming close. It's looking good. Okay, let's have a little break, and we come back with a recharged palette. Okay, so reference to recharging the palette. It just simply means if you have a large palette for an abstract painting like this, you're going to have a large piece of plastic or something, or a lid of a plastic container, and you're going to run out of paint. So you recharging your palette just means you're going with more paint, adding more paint. Now at this point in time, what I want to do, I want to keep with purple and yellow. It was our random choice. I've got a little bit of white. Now I'm going to concentrate on getting a range of darker colors. So we're still going to use yellow, and we're still going to use purple, and I think I've got enough purple on my palette. So let's take the yellow out, and we get ourselves a fair amount of yellow. As you can see, we use a lot of paint. It's quite a big canvas, and now instead of bringing in the white, I'm going to now focus on darkening these areas up here. And what we might do then is we might turn the canvas. Don't be afraid to turn the canvas at any time. It's difficult to reach across my canvas, so I'm going to be focusing on this area at the moment. This purple and white, purple and yellow with very little white is going to create an interesting neutral color. It can be called brown, but I don't like to use the word brown. I'm going to use it's quite purple. That's very interesting. On the palette it looks like a certain color, and when you add it to the canvas, the surrounds and the color that surrounds that area that you're painting has a totally different color. Look at that. So it's not a very deliberate mixing of color. It's really just letting your mind go, and having fun. As you can see, what's happening there is lots lots of white is coming from underneath my paintbrush. I'm not going to go back to this, maybe get a bit darker. And remember, what we're doing is we are cutting back on our charcoal. That's what we actually do. And what I want you to look at is compare what's happening here. You can see there's a great divide between the lighter and the darker colors. Still sticking with purple and white. I keep saying white. What I mean is purple and yellow. Concentrate. There's a nice color again. You see how that's coming up, and it's a neutral color. So it's almost a nothing color. Almost like you can say that you can't call it anything. It's just a grey brown kind of color. what might be nice here, you see, you're just looking at it and you're getting prompted. You're being prompted by it. You have to start with the charcoal lines there. You can obviously use pencil, a nice soft pencil like a 4B, something like that. But I'm getting prompted by this. I need to have this tonal switch: dark, light, dark, light. So that's looking now very light. And that I'm going to carry all the way down. Carry it all the way down. And now, maybe stop and have a quick look at it. It's really crazy. This is fun. This is fun. Remember, you're not doing it for anyone necessarily to approve of it. You're doing it for yourself, just to free yourself up. Free yourself up, so that when you get back to your regular painting, you've lost yourself in this painting. Now you can go back to painting more carefully, more deliberately. This is the kind of painting that you say to yourself, okay, well, did it work? Or is it working? Or did it not work? And it really doesn't matter. That's not why we're painting the painting. We're not painting the painting to make it work. We're painting the painting to just free up your hand. It's almost like a warm-up painting. Now I'm looking, okay, I'm going to complete that later on. When I see something that I don't like, I must try and fix it as soon as you can, as soon as you think of it. I was thinking of this being quite dark, but I'm now starting to look at that and thinking, no, that is too dark. So I've lightened this one, and I'm going to lighten that one as well, so that there's a slight change in tone, not such a severe change in tone, not at the moment. Not at the moment. I want to make this a little lighter. Well, that's a lot lighter. Okay, so we just keep watching, keep watching. Underneath this paint that I'm applying now is a patch of neutral grey purple, and it's actually still damp under there. I can feel it on the brush. Doesn't matter, keep going. Just have fun. Just have fun. That's the whole idea. And look at what's happening here. You see nice edges that are creating this feel of a kind of a bump in the paint. So we're at that point where we go back and recharge our brush again. Okay, we are back, and I must just tell you, don't be afraid to use paint. Don't be afraid to use paint. Then when you think, okay, I'm not going to use too much paint because it's a waste. It's not a waste. It's not a waste. You're using paint to make something out of nothing. And there's no point in having a big green tube of paint, and it's full of paint, but it's not used. So don't be scared to use your paint. I don't advocate wasting, but rather don't get all hooked up on wasting your paint. We're going to get back to our brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually be working on this sort of corner of the painting here, and keep going. Let's start with a neutral color again. See what happens. What I'm mixing up is a neutral color. You can't really call that anything, just dirty color. Let's see how that goes. If it's not working, if you look at it and you think, oh, that's not nice, that doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, then stop, let it dry, and come back to it. Come back to it. I kind of like that color, but it's, to me, needs to have this fade that happens. Now, another interesting thing here is I'm mixing my color on my painting, which is okay. You can break the rules with this this type of painting, you can break the rules. Just let your mind go. That's it. Let it go. Many a painting in this style, I've just looked at it at the end, I think, wow, that's amazing. And many other paintings, I look at it and I mean, that's a throwaway painting. You just throw it away, or resurface it with white paint. It's become quite loose on this side. Now I'm going to go into these little corners and see where we're going. I want to get a little bit of water because my paint on my palette is drying out. It's got an undercoat of drying. So just a dab of water. One more thing I want to point out is, look, I've used only one brush. I've actually got lots of brushes waiting, but I've used only one. And that's up to you. You're going to have a lot of brushes waiting, or you could just continue with the one brush if you feel that that's shape of the brush and the size of the brush is suitable. You know, then that's perfect. Not sure about this color. I don't like this mix. It's lost its feeling from areas like this, which I like. So let it dry and come back to it later. No big problem. I'm going to finish this little corner here. We're almost halfway through the painting. Almost halfway through the painting. Another interesting thing, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, why go to the edge? Why don't we just leave it like that? It's not coming all the way to the edge. Still waiting for this to dry. And let's get to this corner. And then what we can do is actually, now what I would suggest you do is, when you've covered like now a third or half of the painting, stop it and look at it at a distance and get an idea. Are you on the right track? Does it still feel good? And I don't think I'm going to go to the edge. I'm going to keep it all rough on the edge. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of enjoying this. It's like a workout. It's like a gym workout. It's fun. There we go, all the way down to the bottom. I think what must happen at this point is trying to get back to this little spot, because this is bothering me. Everything else I actually really like, but this is not good. This is not good. Let's see. It's nearly dry. Launch straight in and see what happens. Have that rough, dry brush feel towards the edge of this panel. I love painting like this because there's no obligation. No one's watching you. No one. Well, I hope you're watching, but while I'm painting this painting, I don't really care who's watching, and I don't really feel for any. I would like to say, analysis of the painting. I'm just painting for myself, and it's very healthy to do that. It's very healthy to do that. I like that. That's good. That's starting to look quite interesting. We're putting the last bits. Well, that's looking good. I'm not unhappy with that. Some white in there. So I'm now starting to be able to see dancing across the painting. See, okay, there. This needs a little bit of help on this side. Over here, just a little bit of help. This is by no means color by number, by the way. This is not a coloring book or a page. This is just, if you're not sure how we started this video, you can go back to the charcoal drawing and to this rough background, and it's not a coloring in book anymore. Yeah. So I think we might just pause there for a while and we come back to the next step. Okay, this tripod's nearly off the edge of it. at this stage of the painting, I've stopped and I've had a look at it. What I do is I just stand up and get a sense of what's happening around here, and that's I like what's going on. I'm not too sure about this part, but what I want to show you now, I'm just going to put my palette down on hopefully dry paint, it should be, and I'm going to turn the canvas because I'm right-handed, so I've handled this side of it, and I'm going to now move to the top of the canvas, but I need to turn it working flat on the table. I do find, well, obviously there's a huge difference between working flat and working upright, and you may notice from the previous videos that I don't really work upright that much. Upright is for more careful kind of landscapey or portraits, or something more dedicated to the subject matter. As you can see, there's no subject matter in here. There's no apple, no tree, no face. It looks like a shattered piece of stained glass window. Okay, at this stage we've had a bit of a break, so I've had a bit of a break. So what I'm going to do is take a squirt bottle, and I'm just going to give not too much water, just a little skin of water to keep it moist. And I'm going to wet that part as well, and go back to our favorite old brush and try and get some of this color back. And I'm going to do this little corner here. And what I want to do is I want to switch to a larger brush, much larger brush, in just a minute. So I'm going to finish these little corners first, because my large brush is not going to get in there. It's not going to get in there. I'm planning to switch to a brush that is really big, and I'll give you a glimpse of what that looks like. So it's going to cover these big areas here, and fairly quickly. So this is the kind of brush. I love these brushes with this little kink in it there, like that. Okay, so let's continue with this part. And not to forget, we are only using 2 colors and white. We're only using 2 colors and white here. And we randomly chose that color from the color wheel, which you must have on your wall. You must make your own color wheel and have it on your wall. See these little areas? I'm just getting them in, See where the areas are. There's a nice area here. Look at this dark piece and these dark pieces. I want to try and keep those. It's almost like the painting talks back to you and tells you, okay, this is where I want my paint. Okay, this is the next way I want my paint. And you just go with it. You can always cover it up if an area doesn't work. Okay, so now there's one more area, and that's this one into this corner. Okay, and it's almost enough there. Okay, we're going to switch to the big brush, which is now this is going to be fun. Let's get some more water on my palette. Keep an eye on that. You don't want your paint to be too dry. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And let's get going. In the big area. Have a little bit of color coming in, and we get going in these big areas. And what I'm thinking at this point is the entire rest of the painting can be a similar color. Keep your detail in there, and we'll have a large brush covering large area. Okay, this is quite interesting. See these dry pieces? You can leave them in if you want to, but we're going to just continue. That's my trusty bird in the background making a huge noise. They're very loud, but they are very pretty birds, and there are many of them in the area that I'm working, the studio that I'm working in at the moment. So you can see this is going dry very quickly. I'm going to get water in there. There we go. Let's just get the canvas damp. and go back into the painting. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. There we go. Pieces here. I'm turning my brush all the time. I don't really use it this way. I'm using it this way. It gives me a bit more pressure on the painting, on the canvas. Remember, we're not getting a square edge. I don't want a square edge. I want this to be rough. And that was only decided once we'd started the painting, once we see what happens. These little pieces here are looking nice. It's looking nice. I'm actually happy with this painting. See, look at it. Look at it. Tells you what you want to do, what's next. And that's it. Let's see. I'm edging it, keeping it a similar color. Take it all the way down to this corner. I think we are running out of white on my palette again. White is the most used color, as you know. It's like you need a lot of white. So far so good. Look at the intensity of this color here, and look at the intensity of the color here. I might just make it similar. So let's take a little break. I'm going to put more white on my palette. Done is we've really put a lot of white, seeing how much the canvas is soaking the white in. The canvas is soaking the painting. So once again, we're going to get our middle tones and the white, and you can see, I mean, that's really dry. You may notice the sun coming in and hitting the painting, so that's something we can't help, but it's really nice because it's starting to show the color. I'm lightening this. I stopped and looked at the painting and I thought, no, this actually does need to be light, this side. And you just get some light in there. Dry brush, that's nice. And we almost finished this corner. This corner of the painting's almost done. I don't want any sharp edges. I want this to bleed off, get rough on the end there. And now we're ready to turn our painting again, I think. See what I'm doing here is I'm actually carrying some of this yellow across there and carrying some of the whites back again. There are our birds again in the background. They are quite cute, but they're very noisy. I'm going to turn my painting and get this other corner in. And I think this could be, wow, it's looking nice. Oh, it's looking nice. You don't feel that it's a bad thing to compliment yourself if, and I'm not talking about my compliment, but you look at a painting and you say, hey man, that's amazing. There's nothing wrong with that. You're confirming to yourself that you're doing the right thing, you know. You don't have to tell everyone about it. I just say it to myself, hey man, I love that. That's so cool. See, a little bit of yellow in here. And a little bit of white back there. There's a yellow, so it just carries. And we need some here. And now we're going to go really big brush. Wetting my canvas. Wetting my canvas. Wetting my palette. And let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's not about the speed. It's about the paint strokes. It's not about how fast you're painting. But if I were painting this painting slowly like that. Okay, so our palette is really getting neutral. Nice. It's at this point that I actually feel that I need to stand. So I'm going to stand and cover this corner. Get this corner covered. There are little areas as I'm going along. I just think, hey man, there's a little spot. Fix that up and fix that up, and just, yeah, it's looking good. Looking good. Love it. It's really fun. It's really fun. So I'm standing now, and I'm standing in the sun. Just happened to be like that, and I'm going to put these broad areas in. Put these broad areas in. Remember we said don't worry about wasting paint. Well, there's a whole lot of paint left on here. It's another thing I'd really advise. Don't use all the paint on your palette just because you may think that you're wasting the paint. No. Use what you need. And if the rest goes to waste or gets dry, doesn't matter. Don't feel like there's my paint, I've got this purple, I must use it. No, don't. Try not to do that. It's at the risk of messing up your painting. We're almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Picking up white and yellow and a tiny bit of purple, making it neutral. Try and make it look like the whole painting has a kind of a harmony in it, you know. Just have a harmony in your painting. And there we are. Dry paint. I need a little bit of white over here. Yeah. And no sharp edges. That's looking very cool. Cool. I'm done. I'm just dancing across the painting now, covering some areas that I feel maybe need a little extra, like second and third dry brush coats. Take a little bit of time and step away from your painting, like I'm going to be doing now. I'm standing up above my painting and I'm just looking at some areas that need a bit of help. Breaking up that charcoal line. And you know what? People, viewers, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, this is our viewing area against this hedge. What I want to point out, I'm finished with the painting, I'm very happy with the painting. What I want to point out here is you can actually, of course you can turn the painting any way you like, and that's another feature of abstract painting. You can turn it any way you like. I like it just like that. Thanks for watching.